to comments from the public, and we'll start with people who have signed up on the sheet, and then I'll open it up to anybody else. So we'll start with Toby Israel.
Hi, good evening. I'm here to talk about the latest tax bill that we got, and I made my points in a letter that I'm going to hand out to you, but I'll try to stick to the highlights and 3 minutes of talking about what I have to say. I'm basically responding to the flurry of letters that went back and forth about this, and I want to say that first of all, I love living in Princeton. I feel very lucky to live here, and I'm very happy to pay my taxes for all that we do. But I want to be sure that those taxes are paid fairly in our town. And so I'm here regarding the concern of those of us who live in the Walnut, Highland, Dempsey area, concerns that we have regarding the recent property tax bill, which we think adds injustice to injury caused by the flawed tax revaluation conducted in 2009. At your suggestion in the letter, I went to see the Princeton tax officials to better understand the tax position of our neighborhood. And the key takeaways from that meeting were that the annual formula that continues to be used to determine the tax compliance is the same formula used in the much disputed 2009 revaluation. The annual compliance plan using the 2009 formula will continue to be used indefinitely to determine our taxes annually, which really surprised me because I thought that there was going to be a town-wide revaluation at some point. There was no public say in whether or not to conduct another revaluation versus an annual compliance plan, and the Walnut, Highland, Dempsey area had the most sales of any neighborhood, which we in the neighborhood think is due to tear downs. There's also a tax relief available, I found out, but I knew very little about that, and the tax office has no information about the university settlement regarding tax, which is a little surprising, even though I know that it wasn't relevant, or I should say, part of something that happened through them. I appreciate that you've hired somebody to look at the tear down situation, but besides looking at the tear down dilemma, shouldn't Princeton also commit to creating an internal or external individual or committee, not a special prosecutor, but someone to review the tax procedures when it comes to being transparent, communicative, and proactive about the situation. Regarding the latter, for example, as you know, a suit against Princeton and their tax assessor was filed in 2000, objecting to the 2009 formula. Back then, our neighbors determined that the formula employed a methodology that de facto inappropriately redistributed wealth by shifting the nature of the tax burden from Princeton's western section to middle-low income neighborhoods. It's not just the specific tax increase that I object to here then, but the formula's upending of our very democratic principles and practices of fairness to all. In this political climate, I think it's incumbent upon us to be vigilant about the social and economic practices which take from those who have the least and give to the wealthiest in our community. So we should be vigilant not only on the national scene, but on what's happening in our own backyards. So with this in mind, rather than waiting for the lawsuit to proceed, shouldn't we proactively commit to taking a look at this tax process? And then I've listed some initial suggestions that I have, but the three, I'll just close by saying is, first of all, appointing a person or a committee with expertise, because you can get really snowed by all of the facts and figures that the tax office gives to you. So an expert to proactively look at the tax assessment and see if there's a solution to the formula dispute. To review the 2009 tax revaluation formula with the goal of utilizing a more equitable formula in the future. And also, my suggestion is to provide Princeton residents with the opportunity to decide whether they prefer a time-wide revaluation or ad hoc compliance to the assessment reassessment. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm going to give the letters to
You can give a letter to Kathy, and then she'll make sure that we get it. And I can respond a little bit to some of the issues you brought up, and I know there's some other people who want to speak to this issue as well. Just to clarify, the green postcard you got in the mail was not a tax increase per se. It was that's your property assessment. And obviously that is what taxes are based on. And that number is supposed to reflect the value of your home. And the way the tax department is set up is that unlike most employees for the town, our tax assessor does not report to the administrator or to the council. The tax assessor reports to the county tax assessor. And that's to make sure that, because we all love you, that we don't cut anybody and any of our friends a special deal or anything. So that there's just a different line of command there, and there's a bit of a firewall in terms of instruction that the council or myself can give to the tax assessor. So I don't know if Jenny wanted to speak to some issues too.
One of the things that we learned when we, as you might remember, there was a revaluation commission on Liz and I both served on that to look at the 2009 revaluation process. And one of the facts that just you just can't get around is that the formula is prescribed by the state. It's based on the sales. It's all about the numbers. And so it's about the sales of the houses near or that are comparable to your house. And so if it is unfair, because when the houses around you, I mean, what's happening here is they're getting torn down and made bigger and more expensive, and then your house becomes more desirable to a developer, and then so it rises in value, and then you're penalized. And I think we're all struggling with that. We hear it from everyone about that problem, and we wish it weren't the case, but we don't have any say in how in the formula. There are a few, judgments, like I think, there are certain factors about the house and things like that that the assessor makes judgments on, but not that many. And so if you go to, if you do feel like it's unfair, and then like you went and did the first step, you went and talked to the assessor and you tried to explain it, and then you can also then go and try to prove that your house isn't worth that much. That's what you do when you go to an appeal.
Right.
So one of the ways you can judge if the tax assessments in the town are fair is how many of those appeals are successful. So I don't really know that number offhand, I have to say, but I think that most of the tax, I think we have a normal amount of tax appeals that lose, and we do lose some of them, and so I do hope that you took the steps. If you feel like yours is unfair, and anyone here who feels it's unfair, it's a system that we don't have as much leeway as we wish we did.
Right. I appreciate what you're saying. I guess my comments back are, for one thing, you didn't have the final say, for example, about the charter school funding, but yet you took a stand. And so similarly, although you don't have the ultimate say about this, I think it's important for you to still take a stand and be proactive. And major part of what I'm objecting to is not necessarily my individual assessment, but again, the formula that was used. And although we say it's results on comparables, what I've been given to understand by the members of my neighborhood who backed into the formula, which was supposedly secret, what happened was that each time you added some land to a person's property, if the house wasn't on that property, that extra land got devalued. Well, it doesn't take, a brain scientist to realize that is going to de facto make for a lower tax for people who own more land, hence are probably the wealthiest people. And just a footnote, I did a little digging on, okay, well, who exactly was this assessment company? And the CEO, for instance, has given a lot, or given donations to Giuliani for president, Christie for president, et cetera, and this guy's been in business for a long time. So I read between the lines and I say, okay, this is somebody who knew exactly what they were doing. They were redistributing the wealth, just as we have watched gerrymandering take place in our state. So do we just say, oh, well, the rule said this, and, this happened? Or do we actually take a stand and say, okay, something happened here that was really not right, and let's, look at it and take some proactive steps?
But that's exactly what we did, because we felt the same, in 2009, all the elected officials felt the same way, because the unfortunate problem was that the lower price and smaller houses ended up, they rose more in value than the large houses. And so the revaluation ended up hurting the lower price houses. But we appointed a commission. It was a bipartisan commission, and we really did a lot of research, and we produced a report that I think it was a really good report about, because we hated it. I think everyone hated it. And we looked into it, and we didn't find any big red flags like we were looking for.
I guess what surprised me was that this formula is being used ad infinitum. I thought after a certain point there would be a town-wide revaluation, and thus the opportunity to use a different formula. But from what I was told by the tax office, oh, no, this is going to go on now forever.
Because it wasn't the formula that caused the disproportionate increases and decreases, it was the disproportionate rise in value of the different types of housing, and that we had waited for 10 years, but I think...
Actually, we went over 10 years, and that was it was a very painful process, I think, for all of us.
Right.
And it was the fact that we'd had the big gap, which is why we decided to go with a compliance plan where every year we'd look at a certain number of properties to keep up with it, so we wouldn't end up with a big gap at the end of, I think you're required by law to do it at least every 10 years, but we had gone over it. But the fact of the matter is the sales, as painful as the revaluation was, the actual sales have upheld the process. I mean, isn't that?
I just want to make sure we get to
Because
hear
of
from
the-
everybody else who's.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Kip,